दिनमपि रजनी सायं प्रातः शिशिरवसन्तौ पुनरायातः कालः क्रीडति गच्छति आयुः तदपि न मुञ्चति आशावायुः भज गोविन्दं गोविन्दं भज मूढमते भज गोविन्दं गोविन्दं भज मूढमते. Adi Shankaracharya says, days turn to nights, and the dusts become dawns. The dew and the spring, the seasons come and go. Time is playing its game, and we're getting old. But the desires within are forever young. He beckons to us, O fool, worship Govinda, connect to that divinity within. With this inspiration from Adi Shankaracharya, we begin our session on Ritucharya, the seasonal regime. Just like Ayurveda prescribes a dinacharya, which is the daily routine to be followed to maintain good health, it prescribes a seasonal regime for the changing seasons. Everything in nature changes with the changing seasons. So we see everything around us turning from green to orange to white. So the five elements in nature, as much as they affect the things on the outside, affect our physical bodies, because earth, water, fire, air, and space make up everything in nature. So let us have a look at how these changes affect our bodies. So the year is divided up into Uttarayan and Dakshinayan. Uttarayan is the northern solstice and Dakshinayan is the southern solstice. So beginning from the 14th of January, 6 months to the 21st of June is the Uttarayan, the northern solstice. For the northern hemisphere of the earth, Uttarayan is Uttar means north and Ayan means movement. So it is the northward movement of the sun. Because of the inclination of the North Pole, there is a relative northward movement of the sun for the northern hemisphere. This is called the Adan Kal. Adan means to take away, and Kal is time. So, this is the time of the year where the sun is in proximity to the earth, and so because of its heat, it takes away the energy from all living creatures. Similarly, the Dakshinayan, Dakshin means south, Ayan means movement. So there is a relative southern movement of the sun during this period. So this is in relation to the northern hemisphere. So we're talking about all the countries in the northern hemisphere. The sun moves southwards, and this is called the Visarga Kal because the sun is further from the earth, so the effect of the heat is less, and this is the time which replenishes the living beings or it gives them energy. So to sum up, Uttarayan is the northern solstice where the sun is longer in the night, and because of increase in the Agni, that is the heat, and Vayu, that is the wind element, it causes dryness, and so there is a loss of body strength for all living creatures. And the three seasons that are included are the Shishir Ritu, Vasant Ritu, and Grishma Ritu. We'll come to that in a moment. Then Dakshinayan is the southern solstice, and here the night is longer than the day, and there is an increase in the Soma Tattva, that is in the water element, and it has a soothing effect on the earth. Hence, there is an increase in the strength of the living creatures. And the three seasons that are included are Varsha Ritu, Sharad Ritu, and Hemant Ritu. So these are three seasons in the northern solstice and three seasons in the southern solstice. So that is 6 seasons. So Charak Samhita, or the Ayurvedic classical text, describe 6 seasons in the Indian continent. And this is how it is worked out. So these are the lunar months. It begins with Chaitra, then Vaishak, Jesht, Ashad, Shravan, Bhadrapad, Ashwin, Kartik, Aghranya, Paush, Magh, and Phagun. The seasons are, each season is made of 2 months. So it begins with Vasant, which is spring, Grishma, summer, following that is Varsha or monsoon, Sharat, that is autumn, Hemant, which is early winter, and Shishir, which is the dewy season or late winter. So you'll have to work that out for your continent, but we'll try to understand the basic principles of how the climate affects our bodies. So, 6 seasons of 2 months each. So, every season there is, first in the season, there is an accumulation of a particular dosha. For example, Vat accumulates in the body during summer because summer is the hot month, and in the hot months of summer, because of the drying effect of the sun, there is an accumulation of Vat. As we know, Vat is the dry element, so it accumulates. And in the very next season, there is a prakop or vitiation. So the aggravation is manifest in the subsequent season, which is the monsoon season. And in the season following that, the excess dosha is pacified. So it comes to normal. That is, in the autumn season, which follows monsoon, the dosh is pacified. So similarly for all other doshas. In one season, it accumulates. In the subsequent season, it is vitiated, that is, it manifests as aggravated dosha. And finally, the next season, it is pacified. So we begin with the first season, which is the spring season or the Vasanta Ritu. So this is the season in India from mid-March to mid-May. And in the spring season, there is an increase of the kapha dosha. That is, this season manifests with the maximum kapha aggravation. Because of the accumulation of kapha in the previous season, which is late winter, so the body accumulates kapha, which is the cold, wet, damp element in winter, and it manifests as aggravated kapha dosha in spring season. So obviously there is an increase in respiratory illnesses during this season, and the body strength is moderate. As we know that because in the cold seasons the body strength is good, and in the hot seasons the body strength is low. And the festival that is celebrated in India during that time is the festival of Holi. So what is the regime for the spring season? The most important thing to remember in this season is that there is an increase of the kapha dosha and there is an increase in respiratory illnesses. So kapha is the water and earth element. So correspondingly, we will see that the recommendations in diet are dry, light, easily digestible food because kapha is moist, cold, and damp. So to counteract that, the food intake should be dry, light, and easily digestible. And so the tastes that should be preferred during that season are pungent, that is spicy, bitter, and astringent. These are all the tastes that pacify kapha. The foods that are good are oats, which are dry, and so obviously they have a counteractive effect on the increase in kapha. Barley, which is again very good for kapha. Old wheat. So new grains, newly harvested grains or freshly harvested grains are heavy to digest. So traditionally in India, the grains are stored for a year and then they are used in the subsequent year. And this storage makes them lighter to digest. So during the spring season, if we consume wheat, it should always be old wheat. Freshly harvested wheat should not be consumed because it is very heavy to digest. And because there is an increase in the kapha, there is a corresponding decrease in the agni or the fire. So the digestion is weaker. So we consume roasted grains and gram and millets because roasting makes the grain easy to digest. So in the festival of Holi, we light a bonfire, and the offerings that are made to the bonfire are roasted grains, roasted millets, and roasted gram. And these are the treats that are shared amongst family and friends. So, this is the offering that is made and shared. So, it corresponds to the body needs of the body needs during that season. Very rarely, or in fact, never do you ever see anyone sharing heavy, dense sweets like milk sweets or heavy desserts during this season, because this is the kapha season, and so all our customs and festivals are also lined with this. So honey, which is the antidote for kapha, should be consumed during this season. Pomegranate, which increases the digestive fire. Similarly, herbs like ginger, which increase digestive fire, and wine. Ayurveda uses preparations that have self-generated alcohol. So herbs are fermented, and so this is taken in medicinal quantities. So these preparations all are called arishtas or asams. So you have Drakshasab, you have Arjunarisht, Dashmularisht. So all these kinds of preparations which have Arisht or Asav in the end have self-generated alcohol. And so these medicinal wines are particularly good during this season because alcohol is heating and that counteracts the excess of kapha. Diet which should be avoided is sweet, sour, heavy, cold, and oily food and milk products because all these are heavy to digest and they require a lot of agni, and there is already an increase of kapha in the system. The recommended activities for this season are exercise. The body needs exercise to increase the digestive fire and to counteract the increase in kapha. We require massage, but here it should be dry massage because oil massage can increase kapha. And so dry massage with either with herbal powders, which is called udvartan, or just dry massage with a towel helps to activate the agni. Dhoop, that is fumigation, using frankincense, myrrh, that is loban or guggul, which have antiviral properties, is important because there is an increase in respiratory conditions. Waman is the classical Panchakarma that is performed during this phase because it helps to eliminate the excessive kapha that is inducing emesis or vomiting. And Nasya is also very good, which helps to counteract the increase in respiratory diseases during this season. The activities that should be avoided are daytime sleep because sleeping during the day suppresses the Agni and creates Am, and also excessive rest should be avoided. The next season is the summer season, that is Grishma Ritu, and this is in India, it is mid May to mid July. Here, the strength of the body is poor because of the increase in ambient temperature. The body strength is poor, and there is an increase in vata in the body due to the dryness induced by the heat. So, the recommendation in diet is sweet, cold food which is easily digestible. Cold does not mean out of the refrigerator, but cool at room temperature, or it could be naturally cool, as in an earthen pot. Ghee in small quantities, milk, rice, which are again cooling. Sattu is particularly used during this season. Sattu is the flour of roasted grains like barley. So these grains are traditionally roasted in sand and then they are powdered into a flour which can be consumed as a drink with crude sugar and water, or could be had as a salty drink. It's very, very easily digestible and it's cooling for the body. And coconut water is very good to replenish the loss of salts through the sweat. And we must consume plenty of liquids in this season because, again, there's excessive sweating. Diet to be avoided is alcohol, salty, sour, bitter, and hot food, all of which will aggravate the dryness in the system, increase the heat, and increase vata and pitta. And the recommended activities are day sleeping. In fact, summer is the only season where Ayurveda allows sleeping during the day when it is very, very hot and there's an increase in Vata. So, this sleep during the day helps to counteract the increase in Vata in the system. But this sleep should be preferably had before a meal. So, it's not good to sleep immediately after a meal. So, before the afternoon meal, you could have a short nap. An application of sandalwood is particularly helpful. Sandalwood is a very cooling herb, and so this, when it is applied to the forehead, creates a cooling effect. Then, the activities to be avoided are staying up late at night. Staying up late into the night increases Vata in the system. Too much exercise can increase Vata. Sunbathing should not be done. Again, all these factors increase Vata. Similarly, sex should be kept to a minimum during this season because this also increases Vata and this will lead to premature aging and degeneration. Following this is the monsoon season, which is the Varsha Ritu. In India, this is mid July to mid September, and this is the season which has the poorest Agni or fire. So, the digestive fire is the weakest during this season because of the increase in the water content and humidity in the atmosphere and in our bodies. The fire is very low, and so there is an aggravation of Vata which had accumulated in the previous season in summer. It now presents with symptoms of Vata aggravation, and the strength is quite poor. And this is the time to go within. Just like everything in nature is rejuvenating, this is a time for rejuvenation of our minds and souls. So, this is the time to go within, and this is the time for meditation and contemplation. Traditionally in India, this is the season where travel is kept to a minimum and people can spend their time in chanting, in contemplation, and meditation. The recommendations for diet include old honey. Honey, when it is new, has a rejuvenating effect, but when it is old, it has a scraping effect. That is, it clears arm, and it is very good for conditions that have poor Agni or poor fire. So, old honey, oats, old wheat. Again, old wheat is lighter to digest as compared to freshly harvested wheat. So, old grains like old wheat, old rice, salty, sour, and slightly oily food. So, this little bit of oil actually helps to counteract the increase in bath. And the food should be easily digestible because the Agni or the fire is the weakest in this season. So it's good to consume boiled water because there's an increase in pathogens because of the moisture and humidity. And also, boiled water helps to aid, it aids the digestion. Herbs like ginger, mint, cumin, ajwain, that is celery seeds, are helpful to counteract the decrease in digestive fire and increase in Vata. The diet which should be avoided is heavy and cold food, unboiled water, excessive liquid in the diet should be avoided because there's already an increase in the moisture. Fermented food, again, because of the risk of contamination with pathogens, and dry roasted grains because dry roasted grains will increase Vata. The recommended activities are to remain in a dry and mosquito less environment because there are many mosquitoes in India. The traditional Panchakarma that is performed during this season is Basti, that is the medicated enemas, and because that counteracts or nullifies the increase in Vata. An Abhyang or massage is very important to reduce Vata. Activities that are to be avoided are exercise because it increases Vata. Sex should be kept to a minimum. Sleeping during the day should definitely be avoided because sleeping during the day decreases the Agni and can create more Am. Similarly, staying up late at night will increase bath in the system. Following the monsoon season is the autumn season, which is called the Sharad Ritu. And in this season, there is an increase in heat, a drastic increase in heat after the cooling effect of the monsoon. So, in fact, this is a season where there is maximum pitta aggravation in the body, and the body strength is medium. And the festivals that are celebrated during this season are the Shraddha Paksha and the Sharad Purnima. They have a special significance. Um, the 15 days of the Shraddha Paksh are used to celebrate or honor the ancestors. So, for all our ancestors who have passed, a prayer is performed in their memory, and the offering that is made here is rice and milk porridge. So, this offering, which is sweet, rice, and milk, all these three things are cooling and pitta pacifying. And the other festival that is most commonly celebrated in this season is the Sharad Purnima, or the full moon in this month. So that has a special significance. The moon, because this is the season for aggravation of pit, and the moon has a cooling effect. So prayers are offered on that night, and people gather in the moonlight. So the recommendations for diet in that season include bitter, astringent, and sweet foods, but foods that are light to digest. Again, old wheat, oats, amla, which is the Indian gooseberry, is this fruit or herb is available in this season, and it has a potent effect on pitta. It pacifies pitta. Rock sugar, that's the crude form of sugar, should be consumed. Rice also reduces pitta. Parval, which is the pointed gourd, is a vegetable which is very good to reduce excessive pitta. Raisins also reduce pitta, and that they are recommended to be included in the diet. And tikta or bitter ghee is prescribed during this season, especially for people who already have a pitta constitution. This season can be very troublesome, and they manifest with diseases that show increased pitta, that is herpes zoster, increase in uric acid with episodes of gout, liver issues, peptic ulcers. All these conditions tend to flare up during this season. And the bitter taste reduces pitta. So the bitter melon is also used in this season, and ghees which are cooked with bitter herbs are prescribed during this season. The diet that should be avoided is spicy food and curd, because curd has a heating property, and so curd should be avoided during the season. Similarly, baking soda and fish and meat of animals from the wet regions should be avoided. And alcohol should also be avoided because it has a heating effect. The recommended activities are exposure to moonlight. And so, in the festival of the Sharad Purnima, everyone gathers around in the moonlight, and the rice pudding, that is, rice and milk pudding, is placed under the moonlight, and then it it has a cooling effect, and that is consumed later. So the Panchakarma that is performed is Virechan, which is removing excessive pith from the lower end of the body by inducing diarrhea, and Rakta Mokshan, that is bloodletting, is the other Panchakarma that is performed in this season. The activities that should be avoided are overeating, because this is the season right after the monsoon where the Agni hasn't really increased so much. So overeating should be avoided. A sunbath should be avoided because there's already an increase in pith. Daytime sleep should be avoided, and exercise also should be kept to a minimum because the body strength is still low and there's already an increase in the heat in the body. After this comes early winter, which is the Hemant Ritu, and Hemant Ritu is the beginning of winter from mid November to mid January in India. Now, kapha begins to accumulate in the body in this season because it's cold, and so there's an increase in the earth and water element in the body. The strength of the body is good, and in fact, this season has the strongest digestive fire. So this is the feasting season, unlike the monsoon, which was the fasting season. So there are many festivals that involve fasting, which are celebrated in the monsoon because the digestive fire is the lowest. But this season is the feasting season, and it begins with Deepavali, which is the festival of lights, and people exchange fruits and delicacies, desserts. So this is the season where everyone consumes all the rich food, which is dense, packed with calories, because the digestive fire is the strongest, and we build up for the reserves for the rest of the year. So the recommendations in diet include heavy food, which is oily with nuts and ghee and oil, sweet, salty, jaggery, because jaggery is heating and it gives the body the necessary heat to combat the cold. Sugarcane, milk, curd, that's yogurt, paneer, which is cottage cheese, newly harvested rice, because this is the season with good digestive fire, and so the newly harvested grains can be digested. Then urad dal, which is horse bean, which is very heavy to digest, but very good for bath and very good to build up body mass. So this is the recommendation for diet. Diet which should be avoided is light and dry food and cold items, because it's already cold and we don't want to increase the kapha element. So and also because the digestive fire is good, so we don't want to consume foods that are light, because the fire which is high should be provided. So we must provide fuel to that fire, so we don't want to consume grains that are light to digest, like oats and dry roasted grains. The recommendations in activities include exercise, which is a must during this season, oil massage, exposure to the sun is good, and a warm water bath. Activities to be avoided are exposure to the wind, because you can catch a cold, staying up late at night, and sleeping during the day, because again, sleeping during the day will increase arm, and in fact, this is the season where the exercise should be the maximum. Then comes late winter, which is Shishir Ritu, and the recommendations are more or less the same because there is good digestive strength, and the fire is good, the body strength is good, and the festival that comes up in this season is Makar Sankranti, where the offering that is made is til gur, that is sesame seeds and jaggery. Balls are made out of these two ingredients, which provide the necessary heat to the body, because both these ingredients are heating and they are calorie dense. So they provide the necessary nutrition, they feed the digestive fire, and they provide warmth to the body. So the recommendations are more or less the same as for early winter. That is, exercise is important and heavy food is important to replenish the body stores and to feed the digestive fire that is strong. Then a word about the change of seasons, that is Ritu Sandhi. Sandhi means joining, and Ritu is seasons. So this is the joining of two seasons, or that is the transition between seasons. So the last week of the preceding season and the first week of the following season. So when the two seasons meet, this period the body is getting acclimatized to the change of season, and therefore it increases the susceptibility of the body to disease. And so most epidemics are seen during this time. So when there's a change of season, there is a buildup of arm in the body. And so fasting is a good method to detox. And most allergies and infections, epidemics happen at this time. So it's good to supplement with immune boosters like tulsi, amla, giloy, ashwagandha, chavanprash, all depending on one's body's constitution. So interestingly, the festival of Navratra is celebrated in this change of season. So actually, there's the change of season every 2 months. But if you look at the two major change of seasons, that is when we are transiting uh, from winter to summer and summer to winter. So when we switch from summer to winter, there is autumn, And so we celebrate the Sharad Navratra then. And when we transition from winter to summer, there is the Spring Navratra or the Vasanta Navratra. And Navratra are the 9 days of worship to the goddess. And traditionally, these 9 days are spent in worship and contemplation and with minimal food intake. So there is fasting for 9 days. So this is good detox for the body and the mind. So because the oral intake is less, it gives time for the body to detox. And because of focusing within, it creates that mental rejuvenation. So this is about the change of seasons. Then a few words about Panchakarma. Panchakarma is Panch means five and karma is action. So these are the five procedures or actions used in Ayurveda to detox the body. So it's like servicing your vehicle. So just like we take our car to the service station for a service, similarly our body machinery, which is functioning day in and day out, needs to be serviced. And if we have a good diet and a good lifestyle, we probably accumulate less toxins and don't require such frequent servicing. But if we have the wrong kind of diet and lifestyle, we see that the system begins to um, rust and accumulate toxins, and we require more frequent panchakarma. So, panchakarma are the five detox procedures used in Ayurveda to detox the body. So, let us understand panchakarma. Now, Ayurveda prescribes panchakarma for healthy individuals as well as those with imbalance. Even if a person is healthy, there is some amount of accumulation of toxins and there is an imbalance of doshas that happens according to the seasons. So, in the monsoon, there is an increase in Vata. So, the Panchakarma that is prescribed, even for healthy individuals, to just create balance and to promote health. So, not only it has a preventive aspect, but also a health promotive aspect. So, the Panchakarma advised in the monsoon is Basti, which eliminates Vata from the body and has a rejuvenative effect because Vata is the degenerative element. Then the Panchakarma that is performed in the spring season, where there is an increase in Kapha, is Vaman or inducing vomiting. And the Panchakarma that is done for the Pitta is in the Sharad Ritu or the autumn season, where there is an increase in Pitta, and that is Virechan, that is inducing diarrhea. So before we do the Panchakarma, there is a Purva Karma or a pre-procedure. So this is the main procedure, the Panchakarma. One of these five procedures is performed depending on the constitution of the person and the state of imbalance. And before that, there is a preparation for Panchakarma, which is the pre-procedure or the Purva Karma. So Purva Karma is the preparation where the Agni or the fire has to be increased so that there is digestion of arm or toxins. So this is called Deepan and Pachan. Deepan means to ignite the fire and Pachan means to digest the toxins or the arm. So if you have a mango which is ripe and you try to squeeze it and you rub it in between your hands, you'll be able to extract the pulp of the mango easily, and the skin of the mango and the pulp of the mango separate and you can extract the pulp easily. But if you take an unripe mango and do the same procedure, then you will not be able to extract the pulp. And in doing so, you actually end up cracking the skin of the mango. So in the same way, when the toxins in our body are loose, they are digested, they become loose, and they can be easily separated from the body and they can be washed off. But if the arm or the toxins are in an unripe condition, they stick to the body tissues and it's difficult to flush out these toxins. So if you have a cold, sometimes you would have experienced you try to blow your nose really hard. Your head is fully congested, the sinuses are congested, and you're trying to blow the nose hard, but you know it's all stuffed inside, but it's not coming out. So that's when the toxins are in an undigested state. But once they are digested, you blow your nose and it easily comes out. So that's the stage when the arm or the toxins have been digested. So we want the toxins to be in the digested state before we can flush them out of the system. And after that is done, after the Agni has been improved and the toxins have been digested, then the next step is Snehan, which means oleation, that is oiling. So let us take the example that Ayurveda gives of a piece of dirty cloth. You have a cloth which is dirty and you want to wash it. So just rinsing it in water is not enough. You need to soak that piece of cloth in soap. And so you let it soak in soap for some time and then you can scrub out the dirt. So, in the same way, uh, these toxins are lipid soluble. So, they're soluble in fat. So, therefore, we need to let these soak in lipid. So, there is snehan, which means giving lubrication or oil or ghee to the body, which can be done either orally, that is, oral intake of ghee, which is the preparatory phase for Vaman and Virechan, or it could be massage, that is external application of oil, which is done in case of basti. And then there is Swedan, that is sweating is induced, which could either be moist heat or dry heat. So you could either use steam or you could use dry heat, as in sandbags which are heated and a massage is performed with that. So this leads to sweating and a release of toxins through the sweat. And then the main procedure is performed. So, as we said earlier, for woman, that is inducing vomiting, which is the procedure which is done to eliminate excess of cough from the body, and for Virechan, which is inducing diarrhea. The initial preparatory phase both includes snehan, that is drinking or ingesting medicated herbal bitter ghee, because bitter taste is the taste which pacifies both kapha and pitta. So, ghee is administered orally in increasing doses. Ghee, as we know, increases the digestive fire. And this ghee, because it is lipid, it the toxins can dissolve in that, and this will go to each cell of the body and then draw out all the toxins, bring it back to the gut, from where it can be expelled through the upper route, as in Vaman, or from the lower route, as in Virechan. So the key is increased in incremental doses over a period of 5 to 7 days. So we traditionally begin with about 25 to 30 ml of medicated ghee that is given for breakfast. So that is the only thing which is taken for breakfast. No other food is given. And then when that is digested, say by afternoon or evening, then a very light meal is given for the evening meal. And this, because this ghee increases the agni or the digestive fire, the appetite improves, and the next day, um, depending on how the patient presents, and depending on the appetite, depending on how well he has digested the food, this dose is increased to say 50 or 60 ml, and then subsequently on the third day to say 75 or 90 ml, and so on. It is increased over a period of 5 to 7 days till we have signs of complete oleation, that is, the skin is nice and moist, that is, if you try to scratch the skin, you don't get a white line. Instead, it feels oily, the stools feel greasy, and there are many signs to suggest that the body has completely absorbed the ghee. And after that, Massage is given and either Vaman or Virechan is performed. So, depending on the signals that the body gives us, uh, we choose either Vaman or Virechan. And also, if there is more Kapha, usually Vaman is performed. If there is more Pitta, then Virechan is performed. So, this is about Vaman and Virechan. But in Basti, which is the third Panchakarma, ghee is not given orally. Instead, the oleation, that is the oiling, is done externally by means of oil massage. And there are two types of basti. So one is the Asthapan basti, that is a large volume basti, which involves the administration of herbal decoction. And this herbal decoction contains herbs which pacify bath, and it also contains some honey. It has rock salt. It has oil. It's tailor made to the person's needs. So depending on the state of imbalance, depending on the type of disease, the different herbs are selected. So that is Asthapan Basti, which is done on an empty stomach in the morning after a massage, which is large in volume, about 500 ml of herbal decoction with all these other substances, which is a cleansing Basti. So this helps to remove the toxins from the body. And then we alternate it with Anuvasan Basti, which is a small volume Basti, usually about 50 to 60 ml of herbal oil or ghee. And this is used as a retention enema. That is, this Basti, Asthapan Basti or the decoction Basti, is used to cleanse the body, whereas the Anuvasan Basti is used to replenish or nourish. So, in conditions such as osteoarthritis, osteoporosis, nervous conditions, digestive disorders, any condition that has increase in bath, we want to lubricate, and this oil or ghee provides that lubrication. So, the rectal or the colonic passages have connections with the bone, and in Ayurveda, it is said that the Purishadhara Kala, which is the digestive tract, especially the lower part of the digestive tract, has connections with the Majjadhara Kala, which is the nerves and the bone tissue. So, especially for degenerative neurological conditions, this acts as a very good modality of treatment. So, this oil, which gets absorbed into the body, so this is given after a meal, and the patient lies down in his bed and tries to hold in this oil for as long as is possible. People are able to hold it for anything from 2 hours to 5 6 hours, and this oil gets absorbed into the body and it reduces the bath, and it has rejuvenative herbs which tonify the nerves and have a strengthening effect on the body. And then finally, there is Nasya, which is the fifth Panchakarma, that is installation of herbal oils and ghees into the nose, which is used for all diseases of the head and neck region. So, from degenerative neurological conditions to depression, psychiatric conditions, thyroid, allergic, sinusitis, and tinnitus. So, all the conditions of the head and neck region are treated, or even ocular conditions, conditions of the eye are treated by Nasya. So this is the main panchakarma. So one out of these different panchakarmas is chosen for a person. Only one karma is done at a time. So there was the preparatory phase, then there is the main procedure, and very important after the main procedure is the post procedure period. So the person must take care of himself during this time, because this is the time for samsarjan karma, that is the graduated dietic protocol, especially if you have undergone either Vaman or Virechan. This phase is very important. The dietary intake is gradually increased over this period, over a period of 1 to 2 weeks, depending on the intensity of the procedure. So you begin with clear moong soup, which is gradually thickened, and then slowly rice is added, And so you come back to normal diet in about a week's time. And it's very important to pay attention to the dietary intake during this period, and also all the other factors which are to be avoided are those which increase vata in the system. So the person needs adequate rest, both physical and mental. There should be no exposure to strong drafts of wind or cold temperature. There should be complete mental rest, so without any mental worry or agitation. Um, and Along with this, the diet must be such that it does not dampen the Agni or increase Vayu. Sleeping during the day is also absolutely forbidden during this period, otherwise, it can lead to a buildup of arm in the system. And after this procedure, after this time period, when the body has regained its normal strength, then comes the phase of Rasayan therapy. That is, Rasayan are those herbs which increase the vitality of the body, which have a rejuvenative effect and increase the immunity. So, such herbs are then administered just like painting a house. So, first you want to scrape out all the dirty paint and then you apply a fresh coat of paint. So, in the same way, we detox the body first and then give it rejuvenative herbs. So, Rasayan therapy should never be done in the presence of arm. Only once you have cleared the arm and toxins that you give Rasayan. And this has to be complemented with Deepan and Pachan, that is increasing Agni and digesting arm. So constantly the Agni has to be kept up to be able to digest and assimilate the nutrients and the arm. So this is how external oleation is done. That is, either it could be oil massage with the hands, or different potlis or heated herbal pouches are used to give a massage, especially in conditions where there is a lot of bath. So these herbs which reduce bath are lightly cooked in oil, and hot herbal pouches, they're dipped in warm herbal ghee, herbal oil, and massage is done with this. So the heat helps to reduce the bath. Also, the herbs have a vata pacifying effect, and oil, because of its lubrication, definitely reduces the bath. Shirodhara is another type of oleation where not only there is oiling of the head, but this constant stream of oil that is poured on the forehead, it has a calming effect on the brain. So, for conditions like hair fall, where the mind is very active, in case of neurological conditions, in case of psychological conditions, sleep disturbances, depression, and so on, irritable bowel disease, this is a very, very useful modality. So, this constant flow or stream of oil on the forehead, it quietens the brain, it activates and actually balances the prana vayu. Here we have the sthapani marma, and the oil falls on that, and it has a profound effect on the body and the mind. So, this is about the change of seasons and the regime that we should follow during the change of seasons, and about Panchakarma. So, you're all welcome to visit our Panchakarma center, that is Punarnava. Punarnava actually means, Punar means again, and Nava means new. It is the name of a herb which comes again or comes out again during the rainy season. So the roots remain under the soil and it comes out again during the monsoon. So it is called Punarnava, that is new again. And it has a very profound effect on the body. That is, it rejuvenates both the kidney and the liver, and it makes them new again. So, in that meaning, also, it is Punarnava. And so, this is the name of our center, Punarnava. That is, it makes the body new again, not only the body, but it rejuvenates the mind and helps us to connect with our soul. So, we will invite you to our center whenever possible. and see you soon in the next session. Namaste.